everyone. We are so excited here at the WOW Warrior Network to shine a light on another 2026 WOW Warrior Honoree. Welcome, Cathy Derksen. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for the honor, and thank you for inviting me to join you here on the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. And you guys are going to fall in love with Cathy. She does so many great things. And we're going to talk about what some of those things are in just a bit. But first, I want to ask you, Cathy, what does it mean to you to be a woman of worth warrior?
Yes, no, I definitely connect with the word warrior. And I think for me, and yes, with the women of worth, that just adds a whole different depth to the warrior label. And to me, warrior is not about fighting. It is about being strong and brave and just getting out there and doing what you know has to get done, doing what you know inspires and energizes you. And to me, that's what a warrior is all about.
I love that. And yeah, I'm totally in agreement with that. I think that the fighting thing isn't really the part that is the meaningful part. But fighting for your place in this world, though, is important. And I know you do that. I wanted to ask you, was there a moment along your journey? Because as WOW Warriors, we've fully acknowledged that we've had our bumps and scrapes and scars and traumas and all the things along the way. Is there a moment that really shaped your journey where you really were able to, as I say, stand up and stand out as that unrepeatable miracle that you are and own your own worth?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a bit of a journey. This is my third career, so it's been a progression of finding what it is that I'm here to offer the world. And so definitely there's been a few major turning points. One of the early ones that really set me on the path of figuring this all out was my family was involved in a fatal car accident. And luckily, my family was physically fine, obviously traumatized, and that kind of thing doesn't leave you. But it really gave me that slap in the face of life is too short. And at that time, I'd been working a job that was really toxic in negative environment. My marriage was abusive and really negative as well. And it just gave me that kick in the pants that, you know what, you can't keep living like this. This is not life. And so that was really one of the first turning points. And then as I did start finding my way of figuring out what it is that I'm here for, part of it was listening to my intuition, trusting that feeling of what was right, what was the right direction, what was the right thing to do. And part of the first thing I did, I became a financial planner, thinking that was how I could create impact in women's lives, and realized, nope, that wasn't the right fit. And then having the courage to acknowledge that and not just keep banging my head against the wall with it and think, okay, what is that next thing? What is the part that felt right? And really, I would say building community and really connecting with other women that were also doing big, crazy things and starting from scratch was a big part of what inspired me, what kept me going, what kept helping me fine tune what the right direction was.
Oh, I love that. I think everybody exactly just saw why you are a WOW warrior. Spot on. That really, your answer really spoke to me. And I think you can see that progression. That's very common with a WOW warrior honoree is that there it's not a static journey, right? It's an ever changing thing that that moves all the time.
Evolution.
Yes, it's definitely an evolution. Thank you so much for that. So let's talk about now about who are you called to serve and why does that matter to you? Now, I do know that you've had some career changes, but I do know what you're doing right now. So if you could share a little bit about what you're doing and how you're serving, Cathy.
And really, the big focus of my work right now is centered around midlife women. And a big part of that, I think, was that I went through that other career change and divorce and everything in my late 40s and recognized that women really, so many women are feeling stuck in where they are, what they're doing, and even just what they see as opportunities and possibilities for them going forward. And so, really, everything I do is focused on helping midlife women to see that we're surrounded by opportunities and possibilities, and that we don't need to be stuck in what we used to do, what our education was, what our previous job was, what our family wants us to do. But now's the time for us to really listen to our heart and find those things that make us feel inspired and motivated. And one of the big things for me is this old model of retirement. Our society has pretty much told us that after the age of 50, we're old and obsolete and nobody needs us anymore. And my big thing is to help just drive that home with women that no, we are just getting started. This is the time for us to do what excites and inspires us. And that's what brought me to what I'm doing now with the multi-author books. And really, it's about bringing women together in a way that they can share their own journey, what they've learned along the way, and offer those tips or tools or strategies that can help other women on their journey too. Because I think, especially as women, we learn a lot from each other's stories. We find inspiration, we find motivation, we find the strength to take on our own battles, big obstacles in our life. And so that's really the big focus of everything I'm doing.
Oh, I love that so much. Your heart is showing, and that is almost always true, at least in my experience of a WOW warrior, is really wanting to champion other women and lift them up whenever possible. And I love that you have created this platform and this way of allowing women to share their stories and their gifts and their talents and all the things along the way on their journey. So on that journey, I'm sure there may be many, but if we can condense it down to just at least a couple or whatever, what woman in your life has most inspired your life or the way that you lead or live your life today? Is there somebody that really stands out to you that you would acknowledge?
I think I would have to choose Brené Brown. Back in the early days of me starting in this whole journey of what's next, what am I here for, what am I supposed to be doing, it was definitely her books and her words of wisdom that just got me thinking about things differently and thinking about how I'm approaching life, how I'm seeing value, and even how I'm looking back on my past. And quite often we look back and feel frustrated about something we didn't do or how things worked out. And really, just she helped me to get grounded and find the strength to both become a leader in myself, so that's self leadership, but also realize that I am a leader. I am a leader of everyone who I'm in contact with. And I love the idea that leadership's not about having a title. It's about how we show up, what we're doing, how we're supporting others. And so I would say Brené Brown has been the woman who has really inspired me to take on a lot of big challenges.
I love that. And she is incredible. Her books are phenomenal and not surprising that you're over here doing books. But it's so interesting what you said about inspiring you because even though I'm sure she understands that she is doing great work and that she is inspiring people, but I always think it's interesting is something that's true of a WOW warrior is oftentimes we don't understand the impact that we do have on
Yes.
somebody else.
Oh,
And
definitely.
even in all of the books, the collaborative books that you've done with the multi authors, like allowing them that space has impacted them, which their story has then begun to impact others who you'll never even know who it is. But and that all started with you. So I think that's really fascinating to me. And she is an absolute powerhouse. She would have comment on this next question that I'm absolutely sure is how would you help another woman who was feeling self-doubt or she was self-bullying? What would your advice be or your mentorship? What would you say to a woman who was doubting herself or was scared to stand up and stand out, as I say?
Yes. And actually, I was on a meeting this morning with someone who was feeling like that and she was in tears that here she is, someone who has done amazing things in her life. And now she's starting a new business. And so there's a lot of new stuff that she's learning. But suddenly she's feeling, like you say, she's feeling like she's not good enough, that she was crazy to even think she could do this, and that nobody would want to listen to what she has to say. And yeah, and a big part of what I really brought her back around to is, I would describe that as imposter syndrome. And to me, how I've learned to deal with imposter syndrome is that I realized that when it hits me is when I am going through a big growth phase, when I'm stepping into something brand new. So I am growing and expanding and just moving up. And so, of course, I'm feeling a little unsure and that things aren't perfect. But really recognizing that really almost every woman around you, and possibly the guys as well, but they're feeling like this too. So even people that you look up to as being so accomplished, they've got everything together, if you ask them honestly, they will probably tell you that they go through this regularly as well. And that's what's really helped me deal with it when it comes up for me.
Yep, and I say nobody's immune to those thoughts, even though we look at other people and think, "Oh, surely they wouldn't do that," but they do. Everyone has those feelings, you're right. And how it shows an example, obviously, Cathy, of your beautiful leadership, sharing that with her. So as a WOW Warrior Honoree for 2026, what message would you share with a woman who, a little bit like what you said, knows that she's meant for more, but is still hesitating? And this might even be like in one of your books, like they know they have a story, they want to share a story, but they're still hesitating. What guidance would you give her?
I will share one of my favorite quotes that really has become a guiding light for everything I do. And it's a Howard Thurman quote. But he said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive." And to me, that just sums it all up perfectly. That it really is about each of us figuring out what makes us come alive, what gives you energy, what inspires you. And it could be something different for all of us. So it's not about following a model that somebody else has given you. It's about really listening to your own intuition and figuring out what that is, what makes you come alive, and go do it.
Boom, like mic drop. I don't have a mic on me, but absolutely. And it reminded me when you were answering that, what last time I talked to Linda Sunshine West about, last time she said, you are so extraordinary at being able to be successful. Maybe it might have been Sally, I don't know which one it was, on the multi-author books, and that you are just a magnet for that, that you are so exceptional at that. And I your heart is showing, right? What you're talking about, and that being that open door for that woman to walk through safely, right? And share her story in a safe space and create community, because I know that is part of the collaborative experience as well. So really appreciate you sharing that. That's a wonderful quote. I love that. I had not heard that, but 100% spot on. Love that. Cathy, what's your next thing you have up and coming that you're doing?
I always have more books coming up. So definitely check that out on my website. But one of the new things that I started last year is that we're now doing billboards in Times Square with the authors. So March is the next time we're going. So I'm taking a group of my authors. We'll have a 3-day retreat plus our billboard up there in Times Square. So we'll go out there with a photographer and have a blast doing that. So definitely doing more things that bring people together in person is the direction I'm going right now.
That's amazing. I love that. So we talked about where they can connect with you. Can you share where that is?
So my website is called inspiredtenacity.com. And on there, you'll find lists of my current books that you can jump into. There's also a section that's gifts for you. And there is a spot where you can go and download free PDF copies of many of my books. So that's perfect. And there's also links that describe the different books that we've already put out there. But all that information is there on inspiredtenacity.com.
Love that. Thank you so much. What an inspiration you have been for all of us here today. And I want to just take a second to say congratulations, Cathy Derksen, for being a WOW Warrior for 2026. We are so excited to have you as part of this community because you do stand up and stand out as that unrepeatable miracle that you are. So happy that you are part of us. Is there one thing that you would just like to leave our viewers with, Cathy?
Yes, no, I just, as you mentioned, I love building community. I love bringing people together. And so LinkedIn is the main place you can find me. And so, yes, I would love to connect. I'd love to hear your story, and I'd love to help you get it out in the world.
I love that. Thank you so much. Congratulations again, Cathy. Thank you